First of all, let me do a little setup. You know, this is different for me.
Yeah. And this is different for me. Should I put something on my face? I look plain.
No, you don't look plain. You look really nice. The hair is cute. The face is cute. Let it go, boo.
Look, this is as you sip on something.
Okay, so here we go. Everyone has a story. Sometimes we go through things that we're not quite sure why and what's the purpose for this pain, but your journey can help someone else's healing process along the way. This is Testify with T. Jones. Here we dive deep. I'm talking to someone today that I met probably around 10 years ago. She's one of the most persevering warrior people I've ever watched, even from a distance. I saw a fighter. So I wanted to bring her here today. She is an Emmy-nominated producer. She's a mother, and she is a friend. Please welcome LaTisha Johnson to Testify. Woohoo! Hi, LaTisha.
Hi, how are you?
Well, this is a different space for you and I.
Different.
This is weird for me to be in front of a camera because
I love it.
We're in the middle of a pandemic, and I'm like, you know what? That's a good time to launch that little show idea I had.
Exactly.
The biggest part of it for me was this. We do know everyone has a story. Roughly a year ago, you were hospitalized.
Yep, a little over a year ago. My divorce was starting to get finalized. And if I can be completely transparent,
Please.
I was scared to be a single mom because I grew up with a single mother and I didn't want to repeat that cycle. And so I fought to try to save the relationship. We went to counseling, everything. And then we finally decided to end the marriage. And that's when things started to hit. Like, okay, this is my new normal. I am a single mom. I'm doing this by myself. And then also, when you go through a divorce, it messes with your psyche. Am I enough? Am I good enough? Do I need to do more? What was wrong with me?
How did it impact you at work?
You know this industry. You're only as good as what you did, a month ago? Not even yesterday.
A month ago.
If that, right?
Right.
So, okay, if I'm not going to be enough in the marriage, I'm going to be more than enough at work. And that stress started to affect my body, and I had not been feeling well. My knees would start to swell, and then I would start walking funny. But I was like, I cannot take time to take care of me because who's going to pay the bills?
Mm-hmm. Well, let me explain that. Most people don't know that most of us are freelance producers.
Right.
So we'll get hired on the show. And if you get hired, it's usually at least a 3-month run. To the rest of the world, that sounds like, what, 3 months? But the way we get paid weekly, you get paid decently to a lot. Mm-hmm. And then you move on to the next show. And it's that constant hustle looking for your next gig while you're working on a gig.
Right.
And managing your unemployment in between the shows,
Right.
So it all looks glamorous.
Everything that glitter ain't gold.
This show ain't, child.
The show that I was on became more demanding and everyone was stressed. People were getting sick left and right. But the thing was, I was the only parent. And so I had to work and figure out how to do this and how to get into school.
Like me, I had to bring my kid to work with me many times. You've seen Josh at the on set with me. So you did all of that. You're going through all of that and your body is shutting down on you. What is happening?
I started to get sicker. And I noticed I started to lose weight. I eventually went down to a 00. I could fit kids' clothes. One time my son was like, Mommy, are these my jeans or your jeans? That's how bad it was. Yes. And then I started losing hair. Finally, it was September 29th, 2018. Physically, I could not move.
You couldn't get out of the bed?
I couldn't get out of the bed. I told my mom, I said, I can't get up. So my mom was like, I'm taking you to urgent care. And so I went there and they took my temperature and the doctor came rushing out and she said, we can't do anything for you. You have to go to the ER. Your temperature is 104.7. So they put me with ice packs and I got rushed over to West Hills Hospital. And I remember this I don't know if he was a nurse or a doctor, but he was 40. I was like, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do.
I'm out. You on death's door, and you got the nerve.
Sure did, because he was fine. It was like, you are delicious.
I still got the church finger up. This the church finger. Ma'am.
I sure did. Look.
I'm gonna need you to get your life together.
No. T. And then a doctor and a nurse rush in and start hooking me up to everything. So they finally got the fever down. And then the doctor came in, he said, I have to do an MRI because something doesn't seem right. And he goes, and I have to give you certain medications and antibiotics. I was like, but the antibiotics may mess up my gut and da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, I'm not worried about your gut right now. He said, I'm trying to save your life.
So pause. It didn't hit you that you were dying?
No, it didn't.
What did you think was going on?
That I was just really sick and I had a fever or a flu. My son happened to be with his dad. That was his weekend. So he came to West Hills Hospital with Isaiah. This is where it hit me. He opened the curtain and I saw my son's face and the fright that was on my baby's face. And he said, Mommy, are you okay? Are you going to be okay? That's when it hit me. And he was so scared. And that's when I realized I was irresponsible with my health. And I thought I was doing right by him by pushing myself to earn a living without realizing that my health is just as important, because if I'm not here.
Right.
And so from there, I said, okay, doctor, do whatever you want to do, whatever you need to do.
Right.
He said, we need to keep you alive for your child. And I said, that's exactly what's going to happen. And so the doctor was like, I need you to move your legs. I said, I am. And he said, you're not moving your legs. I said, I'm moving them, look. And they weren't moving.
So you had paralysis?
My brain stopped sending the signals to my lower portion of my body. So then they bring in a physical therapist. He said, and what you have to do, he said, you would have to meditate on your foot moving. He goes, and when I'm not here, meditate on wiggling your toes. So that's what I would do.
Wait a minute. So basically, he's telling you, visualize what you want to see happen.
Exactly.
Hold on, this is a moment for me. Visualize what you want to see happen, even when there's no movement.
Absolutely.
Somebody, that's a word for somebody. Go ahead.
That is a word. That is a word.
That's a word for me.
Girl.
Visualize what you want to see happen, even when there's no movement. And imagine, I
was frustrated. I was angry and I was frustrated.
Right.
I was angry and I was frustrated. And so at night I would visualize and be like, toes, you gonna move. And I would visualize my toes moving. And then finally, maybe like 4 or 5 days after, I was able to wiggle my big toe. And so what I did when he came in, I said, I wiggled my toe. And he said, let me see. And I wiggled my toe. And I wanted to get frustrated that it wasn't more than my toe. And he said, no. Be grateful that you wiggled your toe.
Okay, stop. So. Everything I've been reading about, what we've been learning through our pastors, what I've been doing my own study on the mind and thoughts, you have to see it.
Exactly.
And then you have to offer gratitude for it.
Yep.
And feel it.
Celebrate the small victories.
Okay, so he tells you
to celebrate.
Visualize it.
Exactly. Visualize, even if it's not manifesting. And then when it did manifest in a small degree, he said, celebrate that.
Be grateful.
Exactly. And so it was like, okay, I'm grateful for wiggling my toe.
My God.
And then he was like, now that you've got that part done, let's move on to rotating your foot. That took another 2 days and I was frustrated. I was angry. He said, no, watch your attitude and watch your response, because your body reacts to that.
So in the waiting,
let's talk about it.
When you want more, instead of getting angry that you don't have the more right away, be grateful for it, have a good attitude, and
Absolutely.
it'll come. It'll come.
It will come. It will come. It will come. It will come. And the thing is, even if you're frustrated, being frustrated is normal. That's part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you're not giving up and quitting, and he would tell me, don't use my mouth to quit. Because my body hears what I'm saying. And he was like, your body is going to respond to what you believe. And I was like, that's all you need to tell me. That's all you need to tell me. So we would work on it. And I wiggle my legs. And he was like, now I'm going to have you sit up, because I couldn't sit up by myself either. And then he would stand me up. And my mom, I think, has a video of that, of him helping me out of the wheelchair to hold me up. And my body was just like, and he said, it's okay. Look at it. You're not in the bed. And so it was hard. And each time I would see my son, my mom would pick him up from school and bring him to the hospital. And he's like, are you getting better? And I'm like, I'm getting better for you, baby. And that was my motivation. People don't realize two things: how many things we take for granted, and the mental process it takes to heal, whether it be emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. It is a mental process. Being in the hospital, I see and I understand when people want to give up. And when they say, I'm done, I don't want to fight anymore. Because I almost got to that point.
What was that day like? What was that feeling like? Were you alone in your hospital room where you were just like, why am I fighting?
I was alone in my hospital room and I couldn't move anything. And I counted how many machines I was hooked up to. I was hooked up to 23 machines. I was like, I'm just going to chill and drift off. And I sat there and it was like, is that really what I want? Because I asked God to be able to accomplish certain things for my life. And I need to be there for my child. And so I said, Lord, I'm going to need your help to do this. If I'm going to live, I need your help. And the strength came over time. And I had to remember, okay, little victories. So it was like, okay, I'm chipping away at this. I'm seeing progress. So because I'm seeing progress, even though it's not to the degree that I want, it's still progress. And so I fought. And then it got to the point where I was able to stand up on a walker. I got from the bed to the door. And then from there, I was able to go from the bed to the door to the hallway.
You're getting stronger, but we still don't know what caused all of this.
It was a process, because after that, I had 3 more surgeries. And so finally, I get home, they give me a physical therapist 3 times a week, because I was out of church for 6 months. My physical therapy took that long. And the hard part about it mostly was my mom had to wash my body. She became my caregiver. I couldn't stand up in the tub by myself, so she would help wash me. And that's embarrassing as a grown woman.
Would you consider this the most humbling season of your entire life?
Absolutely.
You're a woman of faith. You're a godly woman. What is it you think God wanted from you during this season? Why do you believe you had to go through all of that?
I don't think it was just for me. I've already been able to speak to certain women who have given up on some things. Some women who found it hard to forgive. And surprisingly, unforgiveness will do a damage to your body too. And we don't realize that. And to be able to help others celebrate the small victories. And to know that it's going to get better. Even when there is absolutely no hope, there's a possibility of it getting better, and that it won't always look like this. Healing is not pretty. A lot of times people want to think, oh, it's a pretty process. Even church, sometimes church folk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I'm blessed and highly favored. No, you're hurting and you're falling apart inside and you're drowning and you don't want to admit it.
You better preach. And why do you think that is? Because I'm always blown away by that. Why do we put up a facade, even with other believers in church or whatever it is, the synagogue or the masjid or the mosque? What's
Right.
the point of the facade?
It's a fear of showing our humanity.
Mm.
Because we're so concerned that if you see my scars, what will you think of me? Will you still see me as valuable? Will you still hold me in high regard? And I've learned, and I'm still learning, that it's okay to be vulnerable. There's actually a freedom in it. And it's like, I've gotten to the point where it's like, look, I'm not going to stress out for nobody no more. If I'm hurting, I'm hurting. So I think this process helped me to be me and who I really am. And even after, doing that work for the 6 months, I had to go back and forth to the hospital. My last surgery was December 31st, 2018.
New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm. New Year's Eve, 7 a.m. in the morning. They took out the last lymph node. I did.
Mm-hmm.
They sent me to a rheumatologist and she read the test and she was like, if it's not cancer, I think it's lupus. And so she goes, and by the way, you're a case study now because we really don't know what's going on. She said, but I'm going to label it as lupus. And that was March 2019.
How's your relationship with your son?
Oh, my little sweetheart. That's my little love. It's good. I'm healthy enough now that we can wrestle and play superhero and I can race him and stuff like that. And he's like, Mom, let's race.
That's the
Whereas
good stuff.
I can do that before.
That's the good
So,
stuff.
yeah.
And now I bet you appreciate being able to wash your own body and comb your own hair and
all
put
of it.
clothes. Now
All of it.
you've put some weight back on. I think you look incredible. When I was like, okay, come on through, booty. Are you back to work?
I'm working again. Yes. I know. I'm working. I'm driving again. I'm living life again. So I'm grateful, but it was a journey. It taught me to hold on to peace when it feels like everything's falling apart.
Ooh. So what did you do to hold on to peace? What's the tangibles? What's the thing you did?
I had to realize that taking time out for me is important and it's okay.
Say that again.
It's okay to take care of me. It's okay to make myself a priority. Making myself a priority is true.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to realize I'm worth it.
This is even for me. You want to believe, you want to hold on to faith and hope. You don't want to doubt it all because you want the miracle, and you pray and you pray and you pray and you pray and you pray, and then you don't see it happen, or you see the opposite happen. That is trying. So how do you hold on to faith when you're feeling like that? When you're feeling like, what the hell is going on?
I had to remind myself of my healing process and the fact that I couldn't wiggle my toe. But then I was able to wiggle my toe.
Because you visualized it, manifested it, and celebrated it. And the more you did that,
the more I did that, the more victory became a reality.
Everyone always says, no test, no testimony. And my God, did you get tested in every way imaginable? I enjoyed talking to you. You have an amazing story. I am truly grateful to you, for you, in this experience that you shared with us. I want God's blessing for you. I will share one of my favorite scriptures. It's Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you a hope and a future. And from where I sit, I'm not God, but from where I sit, your future looks awfully bright.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. This was good.
That's it for Testify with T. Jones. Join us again for the next installment. I don't know who we're going to talk to, what we're going to talk about, but it will surely be interesting. God bless you and good night.